Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going deep, really deep into Chapter 10 of Black Ships Before Troy.
Oh, yeah, this is a big one.
It's pivotal.
Yeah.
And it sets the stage for everything, all the drama that comes later. You ready?
Absolutely. Let's dive in.
Okay, so to set the scene, we're in the thick of the Trojan War.
Uh-huh.
The Greeks, they're not doing so hot.
Nope.
And a lot of that is because Achilles, the best of the best,
Right.
is sitting this one out.
Yeah. Still fuming.
Oh, yeah. Still fuming. Fury doesn't even begin to describe it.
Right.
So, now the focus shifts. It's
Yeah.
not on Achilles, it's on Patroclus.
His closest friend. And that's what's so fascinating about this chapter. It's like suddenly we're seeing everything through his eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, and it starts with this incredibly tense scene. Picture it. Patroclus is begging Achilles, pleading with him.
Desperate,
Yeah, desperate. Let me lead the Myrmidons. Let me fight. The Greeks are losing badly. Their ships are burning. And Patroclus, he can't stand by and watch.
He can't. And you really feel that urgency in his plea. It's not just about strategy or glory. It's about the desperate need to save his friends, his comrades.
It's about compassion, pure and simple.
Exactly. And that's what makes his ultimate fate so tragic.
So what happens? Achilles, he's still furious with Agamemnon. I mean, wouldn't you be? But he agrees to let Patroclus lead the Myrmidons.
Big moment.
Huge EE. But, and this is key, he gives him a direct order. Drive back the Trojans, save the ships, and then, and this is important, come back. Don't get caught up in the fighting.
Oh, that warning, that command from Achilles.
Yeah.
It hangs over everything that follows.
It's foreshadowing.
Big time. It's the seed of the tragedy.
And so Patroclus, he takes the field.
Yeah.
But he's not just any warrior, right? He's wearing Achilles' armor.
Oh, man, game changer.
Total game changer. The Trojans, they freak out. They think Achilles is back.
Can you blame them?
No way. They retreat.
Yeah.
Panic. And you can almost feel it, right? The tide turning. The Greeks, they're rallying. They have hope.
The armor, it becomes this symbol, this powerful symbol. Like, even though Achilles isn't there, it's his might, his strength. It's psychological warfare.
Oh, it's brilliant. And for a while, it works. Patroclus, he's emboldened. The Myrmidons, they're unstoppable. They push the Trojans back.
Like winning.
But then, here's where everything starts to go sideways. Patroclus, he gets caught up in the heat of battle.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, uh-oh. He forgets the warning, forgets the promise he made to Achilles, and he disobeys. Instead of retreating, he pushes forward. He pursues the Trojans all the way to the walls of Troy.
That's a big no-no.
Huge GE. And it's like his compassion, that desire to protect his friends, it warps into something else. A thirst for revenge, maybe?
Maybe. Or maybe, he wants to prove himself, to show that he's more than just Achilles' shadow.
Yeah, that could be it. It's this inner conflict, this struggle within Patroclus. And that's what makes it so compelling, right? You see the different sides of him, the way his emotions drive him right towards this tragic end.
And then enter the gods.
Oh, yeah. They can't resist getting involved, can they?
Nope, they never can. And in this chapter, they play a huge role in how the battle unfolds.
It's like they're puppet masters.
Kind of, yeah. First, you've got Apollo on the Trojan side. He steps in directly, weakens Patroclus, knocks him down, makes him lose his helmet, his spear, leaves him totally vulnerable.
Brutal.
It is. And then there's Sarpedon, the Trojan ally, son of Zeus himself.
Formidable warrior.
Oh, for sure. But Patroclus, he manages to kill him.
Big victory, right?
You'd think so, but here's where it gets interesting. Zeus, he's grieving for his son, obviously, but he grants him a dignified death.
How?
He orders sleep and death to carry Sarpedon's body from the battlefield.
That's a big deal.
It is. It's a sign of respect, of divine favor.
So the gods, they interfere in the battle, sometimes for personal reasons. Sometimes it seems like they're just messing with everyone.
Pretty much.
And it adds this layer of uncertainties. Like, even the greatest warriors are still at the mercy of these forces they can't control.
Exactly. And it makes you think, right? Like, are these characters really in control of their own destiny?
It's that age-old question, fate versus free will. And it's a question that runs through the whole epic.
Totally.
So we've got Patroclus, driven by compassion, but maybe something darker too. He pushes the Trojans back, but then he gets carried away, disobeys his friend. And we've got the gods. They're meddling. They're shaping the battle, favoring one side than the other. I mean, it's a recipe for disaster and we know it's about to go down. But let's pause here for a second. Let's take a closer look at some of the characters, the ones who are really driving this story forward.
You know what gets me about this chapter? It's Patroclus.
Yeah.
He's always been, Achilles' right-hand man, the loyal companion. But here, we see a different side of him.
Oh, yeah, totally. Like, he steps into the spotlight.
Exactly. He's front and center. And we see his courage, his compassion, but we also see his flaws.
Yeah. It's like, you can't help but admire him. I mean, the guy's brave. He's willing to risk everything for his friends.
Absolutely. But there's this recklessness to him, too. Like, he lets his emotions run away with him.
It's almost like he loses himself in the fight.
Yeah, and that's what makes him such a tragic figure, right? He's not perfect. He makes mistakes, and those mistakes, they have big, big consequences.
It's like that saying, what is it? The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Oh, yeah. Perfect example. I mean, he's so focused on saving the Greeks, he loses sight of everything else.
The promise he made to Achilles.
Exactly.
And speaking of Achilles, I mean, yeah, he's still ticked off at Agamemnon, but you can see he's worried about Patroclus.
Oh, yeah. That prayer to Zeus, where he asks for Patroclus to be safe.
Heartbreaking.
It is. Especially knowing what happens next. It's like you see the conflict inside Achilles. His pride, his need for revenge, and then his love for Patroclus.
It's a lot.
It is. And in the end, he lets Patroclus go, knowing it's dangerous.
And that decision, it weighs on him.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, but let's switch gears for a second. What about the Trojans?
Okay.
Hector, specifically. He's got some interesting moments in this chapter.
Oh, Hector, yeah. He's a fascinating character.
He is.
So strategic, you know? Like, he's always thinking 10 steps ahead, and he's able to adapt. Like, when he sees Patroclus in Achilles' armor...
Terrified.
Right. He steers clear, thinks it's really Achilles, but then...
The big reveal.
Yeah. He realizes it's not Achilles, and it's like something changes.
Oh.
Yeah, like a switch flips. And his fear, it turns into confidence.
Opportunity knocks.
And he doesn't hesitate, seizes the moment.
It's like a reminder, even in war, perception is everything.
Absolutely. And Hector, he's different from Patroclus. He's driven by ambition. Cold, calculated ambition. He doesn't let emotions get in the way. He sees a chance to strike back at the Greeks, to avenge Sarpedon.
It's like there are two sides of the same coin.
I like that, yeah.
Patroclus, the heart.
And Hector, the head.
And they're both, caught up in this web of fate and the gods doing what they do.
Speaking of which, we got to talk about the armor.
Achilles' arrow.
Yeah. It's not just, a piece of equipment.
It's symbolic.
Totally. It represents something deeper. At first, it's all about power.
Right. Like Achilles' legendary strength.
Right. It scares the Trojans, gives the Greeks that edge.
But then it takes on a different meaning, doesn't it?
It does. It becomes about deception, false hope.
It gives Patroclus this false confidence, and that leads him to, push too far.
Yeah.
To disobey Achilles.
Yeah. And ultimately, it's part of his downfall.
It's like the armor, it's got Achilles' power, but it also carries his fate.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah. It's a reminder that even the most powerful weapons, they can be double-edged swords.
They can protect you, and they can destroy you.
Exactly.
And that brings us back to disobedience. Patroclus' choice to ignore Achilles' orders. That's the catalyst.
It is. It sets the whole tragedy in motion.
And it's heartbreaking because you understand why he does it.
Yeah.
He wants to protect his friends, but you also know it's a mistake.
A fatal mistake.
Yeah. And it makes you think, what are the limits of loyalty?
Right.
How much should we sacrifice for the people we care about?
And when do good intentions go too far?
It's a question that people have been asking for centuries.
For sure.
This chapter, there's tons of action, but it also makes you think about these bigger questions. Fate, free will, what makes a hero?
That's what makes it so much more than just a battle scene. It's about human nature, the choices we make, and how even the bad intentions can lead to tragedy.
This whole fight for Patroclus' body, it's brutal. Really brutal.
Oh, it's intense. You can really feel the weight of it.
When you think about it, it's more than just a battle.
Right. For the Greeks, it's about so much more. It's about honor, respect.
They can't let the Trojans take the body. They can't.
Absolutely not. It would be a victory for the Trojans, a symbolic one.
And they can't let Patroclus' memory be tarnished.
They can't.
But for the Trojans, it's a chance to really hurt Achilles. to twist the knife.
Oh, yeah. They know how close Patroclus and Achilles were. Taking his body, that would be a devastating blow for Achilles.
To break him.
It would. And it's like in this moment, all the individual warriors, they kind of disappear.
It's bigger than that.
Yeah, it's this clash of forces, two sides driven by these powerful emotions, grief, rage, the need for revenge.
And then there's this detail. It's small, but it really stuck with me.
What's that?
Achilles' horses.
Xanthus and Balius, the immortal ones.
Yeah. They weep for Patroclus.
Oh, man. It's such a powerful image.
It is. It's like even in this world of war, there's still room for these deep connections.
For love, for loss.
It shows that these warriors, they're not just, fighting machines.
They have hearts. They form bonds. And when those bonds are broken, that's what makes it all so tragic.
And it foreshadows what's coming for Achilles.
Oh,
His grief, his rage, it's going to be unimaginable.
It is. This chapter, it's a turning point. The whole story shifts.
It gets darker.
It does. It's like a descent into violence and despair.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into chapter 10, what are the big takeaways? What do you want our listener to think about?
Well, I think this chapter, it forces us to confront, some hard truths about ourselves, about human nature. We see the good, the courage, the compassion, the loyalty.
But also the bad.
Yeah. The rage, the ambition, and how all of that can lead to terrible things.
Even with good intentions, things can go so wrong.
They can. And we see how powerful fate can be, how it shapes our choices.
But even in war, even amidst all the violence, we see these moments of humanity.
We do. These connections, the love, the loss. That's what makes this story so powerful, so timeless. It reminds us that even in the darkest times, even when we face incredible loss, those connections are what keep us going.
They give us strength.
They do. And it leaves us with this question, this what if? What if Patroclus had listened to Achilles? What if he had obeyed?
Could he have changed his fate?
Or was it inevitable? Was it all part of some grand plan?
It's a question that has haunted readers for centuries.
It has. And that's the power of this story. It makes us think about these big questions. Fate, free will, what it means to be human. And those questions, they stay with you long after you finish the book. They challenge you. They make you think about your own choices and the consequences that come with them.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep diving into the stories that shape